Welcome to Outside Views. Today we examine a question that resonates far beyond Britain. What lessons can Switzerland learn from Brexit? The United Kingdom's exit from the European Union was a historic decision, one that fundamentally reshaped its economy, politics and society. Switzerland, though not an EU member, faces its own crossroads as it debates its future relationship with the European Union. And could the lessons of Brexit guide Switzerland away from potential pitfalls, or will it succumb to similar challenges? To begin, we must consider the parallels between the UK and Switzerland. Both countries pride themselves on their sovereignty and their democratic traditions. Both have complex relationships with the EU, balancing economic integration with political independence. In Switzerland, the debate over the so-called Bilateral Agreements, a new set of agreements aimed at securing access to the EU single market, echoes many of the themes that dominated the Brexit referendum. Immigration, sovereignty, and economic access are at the heart of the discussion. The Bilateral Agreements represent a pivotal moment for Switzerland. Those agreements are designed to modernize and secure Switzerland's access to the EU single market, which is critical for its export-driven economy. However, as in the Brexit debates, the issues surrounding these agreements tap into deeply emotional and often polarizing themes. Immigration is one of the most contentious aspects of the Bilateral debate. Switzerland's participation in the EU's free movement framework has allowed thousands of EU citizens to live and work in the country, filling vital roles in healthcare, construction, and other essential sectors. However, this has also fueled concerns about overpopulation, housing shortages, and pressures on public services. Much like in the UK, some Swiss citizens fear that unrestricted immigration undermines national identity and puts undue strain on resources. The challenge for Switzerland is to address these concerns without losing the economic benefits that EU labour provides. Sovereignty is another central issue. Swiss opponents of the Bilateral Agreement argue that closer ties to the EU could erode the country's cherished independence. And this fear mirrors the rhetoric of Brexit proponents who championed the idea of taking back control. For Switzerland, sovereignty is not just a political principle, but a cultural cornerstone, deeply embedded in its tradition of direct democracy and decentralized governance. Critics of the Bilateral worry that aligning too closely with EU regulations and courts could dilute this autonomy. The lesson from Brexit is that while concerns over sovereignty are valid, they must be weighed against practical realities. Economic interdependence often necessitates compromises, and Switzerland's policymakers must navigate this delicate balance. Economic access remains the linchpin of the debate. The EU single market is Switzerland's most significant trading partner, accounting for over 60% of its exports. And the Bilateral agreements aim to ensure seamless access to this market, reducing barriers and fostering cooperation in areas like research, transport, and energy. However, detractors argue that the economic benefits do not justify the perceived political costs. They point to Brexit as an example of a country opting to prioritize sovereignty over market access, albeit at great economic expense. The lesson for Switzerland is to consider the long-term implications of such a choice. Disrupting trade with the EU could have far-reaching consequences for industries that rely on cross-border supply chains and international collaboration. What makes the Swiss debate even more complex is the role of direct democracy. Unlike in the UK, where the Brexit referendum offered a binary choice, Switzerland's systems allows for ongoing public input through referendums and initiatives. And this means that any decision regarding the Bilateral agreements must account for a broad spectrum of opinions and be subject to intense scrutiny. Swiss leaders face the challenge of presenting a clear and compelling case to the public, avoiding the oversimplifications that plagued the Brexit campaign. Another layer to the debate is Switzerland's unique position as a non-EU member that has historically benefited from close ties to the bloc. The country has long enjoyed a bespoke relationship with the EU, characterized by bilateral agreements tailored to specific sectors. The Bilateral Agreements are an attempt to modernize this framework, ensuring that Switzerland remains competitive in a rapidly evolving global economy. The risk, however, is that failing to ratify these agreements could lead to a gradual erosion of this special relationship, leaving Switzerland isolated and less able to influence the rules that govern its interactions with the EU. For Switzerland, the debate over the Bilateral Agreements is a defining moment. It's not just a question of economics or politics, but a broader reflection on what kind of country Switzerland wants to be in the 21st century. By looking at the lessons of Brexit, Switzerland has an opportunity to make a more informed and strategic choice, one that balances its values with the realities of interdependence. Brexit demonstrated the dangers of oversimplifying these issues. In the UK, slogans like "Take Back Control" reduced complex economic and political relationships to a mere binary choice. And this approach left voters without a clear understanding of the consequences. For Switzerland, the lesson is clear. Nuanced debates are essential. Reducing the Bilateral to simplistic arguments risks obscuring the real trade-offs involved. And Swiss policymakers must communicate transparently about what is at stake, both economically and politically. And one of the most significant lessons from Brexit is the economic fallout of severing ties with the EU. The UK has faced trade barriers, labour shortages, and a decline in investment. So for Switzerland, maintaining access to the single market is vital. The EU, as I said, is Switzerland's largest trading partner, accounting for over 60% of its exports. And disrupting this relationship could have severe consequences for Swiss industries, from finance to pharmaceuticals to manufacturing. Moreover, the UK's experience highlights the challenges of negotiating trade agreements outside the EU framework. While Brexit proponents touted the potential for new trade deals, the reality has been quite underwhelming. Deals with countries like Australia and Japan have brought limited economic benefits. Switzerland, already a champion of free trade agreements, must consider whether distancing itself from the EU would enhance or diminish its global trade position. Another critical area is labour mobility. The UK's decision to end free movement has led to significant labour shortages, particularly in sectors like healthcare, agriculture and hospitality. Switzerland, with its dependence on EU workers, faces a similar dilemma. Restricting labour mobility could disrupt key industries and strain public services. And the lesson here is that immigration policies must balance domestic concerns with economic realities. The benefits of access to skilled labor should not be underestimated. And Brexit also exposed the fragility of political unity. The referendum deepened divisions within the UK, exacerbating tensions between England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. In Switzerland, where political cohesion relies on balancing the interests of cantons and linguistic groups, a similar scenario could emerge if the EU debate becomes too polarizing. Maintaining national unity requires careful management of these discussions, ensuring that all voices are heard and respected. And the role of misinformation is another critical lesson. The Brexit campaign was marked by exaggerated claims and false promises, from the infamous £350 million for the NHS to misleading narratives about trade and sovereignty. Swiss leaders must prioritize factual, evidence-based discourse. Public trust depends on transparency and accountability. Without these, the risk of disillusionment and division grows. Switzerland can also learn from the post-Brexit challenges of regulatory divergence. The UK's departure from EU standards has created barriers for businesses, from traditional paperwork to disrupted supply chains. For Switzerland, aligning with EU regulations has been a cornerstone of its economic success. Departing from this framework could create significant obstacles for Swiss companies operating in Europe. Consistency and predictability in regulations are vital for maintaining competitiveness. And another area of concern is research and innovation. Brexit resulted in the UK's exclusion from key EU programs like Horizon Europe, impacting its scientific community. Switzerland, with its strong tradition of research excellence, must ensure that its relationship with the EU preserves access to collaborative opportunities. Scientific isolation is not in the national interest. And the cultural impact of Brexit offers further insights. The UK's departure from the EU has strained cultural and educational exchanges, reducing opportunities for students and artists. Switzerland, known for its international outlook, should strive to maintain strong cultural ties with Europe. Programs like Erasmus Plus and cross-border collaborations enrich Swiss society and should not be jeopardized. While Brexit serves as a cautionary tale, it also highlights the importance of democratic engagement. The UK's referendum mobilized millions of voters, demonstrating the power of public participation. For Switzerland, with its tradition of direct democracy, this is both an opportunity and a challenge. Engaging citizens in meaningful debates about the EU relationship can strengthen democratic legitimacy, but only if the process is inclusive and informed. So in conclusion, the lessons from Brexit for Switzerland are multifaceted. They underscore the importance of transparent communication, economic pragmatism, and political unity. They highlight the risks of oversimplification and the need for informed, evidence-based decision-making. Switzerland's unique position as a non-EU member with deep ties to the bloc gives it an opportunity to chart a path that avoids the pitfalls of Brexit while securing its future prosperity. So thank you for joining me on this exploration of the lessons from Brexit for Switzerland. And if you found this analysis insightful, please like the video, share it, and subscribe to Outside Views for more in-depth discussions on post-Brexit politics. And let's continue the conversation in the comments. Do you think Switzerland can avoid the mistakes of Brexit, or is it heading down a similar path? I look forward to your thoughts, and as always, stay informed and see you in the next video, one of those you already find right here in the end screen.